Hey everyone, Nima Kangahi here. Listen, a while ago, about probably over 10 years ago, I got some coaching from a company named By Referral Only. They're still around. They're an amazing coaching company. If you're in the mortgage or real estate industry and you're thinking about getting some help to structure your business, they're awesome. So let me tell you a little bit about what I learned from them. One of the main things that I learned was how important it is to ask what they called thought-provoking questions, right? But what is that question, and what do you ask, and what do you talk about in your initial conversation or your consultation to really uncover why somebody's purchasing a home? What's important about them to do in doing that? What's important about refinancing for them? And so I struggled with this a bit early on because it was not my style. I wasn't used to asking this particular question. And the question is, what's important about blank to you? Now the blank, you put in whatever it is that they're trying to accomplish. So if they were purchasing a home, what's important about purchasing a home to you? Or if they're thinking about refinancing, it's what's important about refinancing this home to you? So by the way, don't go into practicing this with any customer or client right off the bat. I had to practice this with myself probably about 25, 30 times before I even started to get the hang of how to ask this question, because if you don't practice, if you don't get coaching on it, it can sound extremely repetitive and somewhat annoying. So don't be that person. Practice this on yourself first. But I want to tell you the story because when I practiced this, I was working at a bank branch and I was a loan officer, and a customer walked in and it was a young lady and she was with her daughter and she wanted to refinance. So the banker walks over, introduces them to me. I have them sit down and we start talking, and I had practiced this question a few times now at this point, and I felt comfortable asking it in this consultation. And so the lady sat down and she wanted to refinance, and so I said, what's important about refinancing to you? What are the top 3 things that are important to you? And she said, and she said the same thing that most people say. It's one of these 3 things. Is she said, I would like a lower rate, I want a low payment, and I don't want to pay a lot of fees, right? So I want low costs. It's cost, rate, and payment, right? That's typically the 3 things that people would want. So I said, okay, and I wrote those 3 things down, and I said, do me a favor. If you had to pick one, now I know all 3 are important to you, but if you had to pick one that's most important to you, which one would it be? She said, rate. I said, great. So what I do is I put the numbers 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 on a piece of paper. Now, I don't necessarily show this to the customer, but I have it on my notepad. And I said, and I put on number 1, it's all the way at the bottom, right? 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I put at the bottom, I put rate. That's the thing that she said was most important out of those 3 things. And then I said, now I know rate for people, it could be different, right? I don't know what your rate is right now, but tell me what's important about a low rate to you. And she said, well, I want a low payment. I thought, well, okay, so payment, right? So payment was really top of mind for her. She wanted a lower payment. And I said, now low payment means different things to different people. What's important about a lower payment to you? And she said, well, I want my house to be more affordable. So affordability. And I said, okay. So I put affordability. And I remember putting more affordable, right? Because I wanted to put exactly what she said. And then I said, what's important about it being more affordable to you? She said, well, I just want to be able to keep the house. And I said, okay, keep the house. Now at this point, I've put down rate, I've put down lower payment, I put affordability, and now on number 4, I put keep the house, right? Now, this might sound like a silly question, and at first I used to have this block, but I asked again, I said, now tell me what's important about keeping this house to you? And here's where it shifted. And oftentimes at number 4, going from number 4 to 5 is where people shift, and they go from what I was taught is they go from their head and they go into their heart, right? And so she said, well, I really want to keep the house because my husband and I bought this house and my husband passed away recently. And I thought, wow. Now, it's this young lady, she's sitting in front of me with her daughter, and here I now am hearing that she lost her husband. The daughter has lost her father. So I put that down, number 5, is she wants to keep it because she recently bought this house with her husband who's now passed away. So what's important about keeping this house now that your husband has passed away? And I wasn't ready for this answer. And she said, you know, I've lost my husband and I feel like I've lost everything, and I'm just not ready to let go of this house yet because this house represents him and I've already lost him, but I can't lose the house. And as she started talking about that, tears started to come down, and I remember I was getting choked up, and I ran and grabbed the box of tissues, brought it back, and I think I was dabbing my eyes as well. I share this with you because this strategy that I learned was not to learn how to sell someone any better. It was intended to really dive in deep and understand what's behind the surface, right? What's underneath the surface of why somebody's trying to do something. This lady was attempting to refinance. If I was just like any other loan officer, mortgage consultant, I could have just said, okay, lower rate, lower payment, let's run with it. Here's the rate, let's keep going. And so often I have lost business that way because I was either pitching a product or what I thought was the lowest rate, and people will shop you, people will leave you, and also because people don't know that you care, right? So, oh, my phone's ringing. These things happen, people. These things happen. We're going live. So I told, you know, I love this strategy because it allows you to understand what's behind the curtain, right? What's underneath the hood, really what's someone's real motivation. And after learning that, not only does this client know how much I care now, I truly care. I want to keep them in this house. Now, not only am I motivated to keep them in this house because I truly understand what's important to them, but had I not asked those questions, we wouldn't have gotten to that point, and she would not have even realized that that's why she's refinancing. Yeah, I want to keep the house. Yeah, I always want a lower payment. There is usually something bigger than that. If you can uncover that, you tend to have clients for life because you've taken the time to learn about them. You care about their situation. It's not just another deal. It's not just commission. When you are playing that game, when it's just commission, then you know, then you're going to lose deals.